And of course, feel free to grab your props, mini blocks, blanket. So let's get started on the back this evening, if that sounds good. And I'm going to sit up for a few moments here while we talk about the yama of this week, which is Bramacharya. So what that more literally translates to is abstinence, which we tend to think of in relation to a sexual context, which obviously that's not something that's too hard to avoid on our yoga mat. I mean, if your camera's off, I'm not sure what you're doing, but we're just assuming there. But I think a better and kind of more broad interpretation and that encompasses more than just that one avenue, that one aspect, is moderation. And another way that I've heard it described that really resonates with me is the right use of energy, where we are putting our energy. If we're assuming that we don't have an infinite amount of energy in any given day, nor time, we don't have an infinite amount of time. So where are we putting our energy? Where are we expending it? And is it in balance? So looking at your relationships with your family, your children, your partner, and what you're putting into those individually. Then going into your job, your occupation, other roles that you have. And are you working crazy amount of hours and not seeing your family a lot? Or we can even talk about the yoga practice. I've definitely had some times in my life where the yoga part of my life is a little bit out of balance. It's kind of taking over, and maybe I need to bring in some other types of movement, or just spend less time with it, or whatever the case may be. So it's all about balance. And as we bring that to our mats tonight, just examining how, as we're practicing asana, how we are keeping ourselves in balance, and not literally speaking just balance poses, but where we're expending that energy, where we could pull back and maybe achieve the same thing. I talk about that fairly regularly. And maybe somewhere where we might need to give more, where we are resisting going into a certain posture, or somewhere, some aspect of the practice where we might be feeling that resistance, and breaking down that barrier, finding that balance, finding that right energetic balance on our mats and off. So as we land here and digest all of that information, and start to take some deeper breaths. As you start to land in the breath and connect with it, just keeping this practice of Bramacharya in your mind. Reminding yourself that any time that the breath is not in a place of relative ease, if what you're doing does not support or is not supported by the breath, That's maybe a good indication that we can pull back. So feel your breath here. Let this be your baseline as you deepen and connect right here. Let's allow our breath to unite for these next 3 rounds. So empty your air out. Breathe in deeply through the nose. Let your mouth open, sigh out your exhale. Another deep inhale through the nostrils. Complete sigh out. Last one together. Good. Now resume your pace of breath. You might start your Ujjayi breath if you practice that, letting the breath be audible, dragging across the back of the throat. This helps build heat in the body. And if you ever need to release heat, you can use that open mouth exhale. Let's start to move. Bring your knees in. Rock side to side. And let's land in the center in stillness here. And go for the opposite of that. Breathe in as you take a nice full body stretch. Reach long. Take another round here. Now take another inhale. As you exhale, hug the knees in, grab onto your shins. Maybe your head and shoulders pick up off the mat, up to you. And on the exhale, we'll reach long. Maybe your heels float. So we're making this into a core movement. Breathe in as you pull in, and exhale as you reach long. You can make this as, I'm shaking, as intense or not as you would like for your abdominals. Let's just take another full round. And finish with your knees pulled in, then set the head and shoulders down. Let your head roll side to side, release the neck. And then let's rock up to seated. You can take a couple trips if that feels good. And let's meet in a easy seat here. Staying with the neck just a few moments more. Drop your right ear down toward your right shoulder. Let the left shoulder get a little heavier here. You might even take your right hand and gently apply some pressure to that left temple. And let's release to center and take the other side. And then release your hand if you brought that in and let your chin drop toward your chest. And let's slowly roll over to the right. And you can either take it into a full circle or just stick with this bottom half. I like to close my eyes down with this, just to really tune into what's going on. Finish up where you're at. And last thing here, we'll turn the chin toward the right shoulder. So adding one last little stretch here, looking as far as you can, but not straining. Coming back through center and taking it over to the left. Good, releasing to your center. Let's move to a tabletop position, hands and knees. Find some good movement here with the hips, maybe a cat and cow or two. Let's take about 2 to 3 more breaths. And we'll meet in neutral table. Let your toes tuck under, breathe in. Exhale, press into the hands, hover your knees a couple inches above the mat. Pull the belly in, breathe. If your chin is dipping way down, lift your gaze, looking just ahead of your fingertips. One more breath here. And exhale, take those hips high, downward dog. Take a couple breaths here in stillness. Just feel your first downward facing dog without moving around. Sometimes we go into that autopilot, walking of the dog. And next couple of breaths, if you want to start to pedal. Moving side to side, back and forth, bending alternate knees. Even out both sides, we'll come back to center. Lift your tailbone a little higher toward the back corner of the room. Press your chest toward your thighs. Make a little space for your neck, dropping your shoulders. And then let's look forward, bend the knees. Trying to keep the hips from swaying too much side to side, let's walk the feet forward. That's your core. Keeping everything in that midline, even as we're moving into this forward fold. Feet to hip width, drop down. And ragdoll in the arms if you want that. Maybe a bind. Any forward fold variation here that feels right. Good, now let's drop those fingertips. Soften into your knees, rise up, sweep the arms, lean back, bring the hands into heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up high. On the exhale, let's take an open arm twist to the right. Right arm sweeps down and back. Twist your torso. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, twist left. Left arm sweeps down and back. Gaze can go with it. And lift up through the middle, lean back, swan dive forward. Lift up halfway, breath in, forward fold, hands plant, feet step back. Let's set the knees down, keep the tailbone high, lower down with your chest, your chin. Good, and let's sweep up into a cobra. Maybe press into the tops of the feet, lift into upward facing dog. Pause here, keep your breath moving. Roll those shoulders back and down. Now, if you're in upward dog, drop your knees and then come back to a child's pose. Round the back. Take 2 breaths here. Know that you can come to this pose when you need to find that balance. Coming back to your hands and your knees, tucking your toes. Let's come back to downward facing dog. Breathe here. And lift up on those toes. Knees bend as we look forward. Pulling your belly in, let's walk to the top of the mat. See if you can keep the hips moving forward instead of side to side. Halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Rise as you inhale. And let's take those open arm twists, right and left. Twisting on your exhale. Lifting through center on the inhale. Inhale back through the middle. And exhale, bow. Lifting halfway as we fill up with air. Exhale, hands plant, feet go back. You can hold your plank. You can do that knees, chest, and chin again. You can lower all the way down to the belly, or you can take Chaturanga Dandasana. Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's lift heels, bend knees, looking forward. Come into the top of the mat. Lift half. Fold. Rise, inhale. Take your twists on your exhales. Once you've got both sides, we'll come back through the middle and fold on your exhale. Lifting halfway. On the exhale, hands plant, feet go back. Another option that I don't often cue, but I like to do in my practice, if you want to skip that push-up, but still take the back bend, you can come onto the tops of your feet, drop your hips, breathing in for your upward facing dog or your cobra. Exhale to downward facing dog. Once heard a teacher say that your life's problems will not all be solved by doing all of the chaturangas. So, you know, I'd like to give you guys permission to let this go. But if you think it's an all or nothing, you can make that vinyasa, that combination, look however you want it to look, as long as it's safe and feels right in your body. So from here, let's let the feet get a little closer to each other and lift your right leg up sky high. Bend your knee that's in the air, open that hip. Let the left heel get a little heavier. Let your right shoulder get heavy. Lift that knee a little higher. Inhale, straighten the leg behind you. Square the hip. Exhale, find your low lunge. Step the right foot through. Let's just take a couple breaths here, rocking into the hips, forward and back. About 2 or 3, forward and back. And then we'll land in this low lunge. Remember, you've got your back knee if you want it. We'll lift the right arm up high, twisting open. Stay for your exhale. Inhale, get a little bigger. And exhale, close that hand down. Ground your back heel. Feet are about hip width distance apart, widthwise. Press into your feet, rise up, warrior one. Breathe here. Soften your shoulders. Maybe find a little additional bend in that front knee while pressing into the back heel. Take one more breath here. And on the exhale, Shift the hips back. Sweep the arms back into airplane arms as you straighten into your right leg. Don't lock that knee out, but hover the chest. We're in kind of a higher balancing pyramid here. If you need to rotate those left toes further forward, you can. That feels better in the hips. And then on the next inhale, let's rise back up. Warrior one, arms come high. On the exhale, bring those hands down to the mat. Step it back. Take your vinyasa to your downward facing dog. On our next inhalation, toes come together. Lift that left leg high. Knee bends, hips stack. Heavy in the right heel, heavy in the left shoulder. Flex your left toes, protecting the knee, lifting that knee higher. Good, lengthen that leg behind you. Close the hip down. Bring your foot, step it through, landing in your lunge. If your foot didn't come up as far as you imagined it would, just scoot it forward. Take that time to adjust. And then start to take this little rocking, opening through our hips. Next time you come forward, knee over ankle, stay there. Right hand stays down, left arm lifts high. Stay for your exhale. Unlock your right elbow, stay for another inhale. And exhale, bring that hand down. Also dial your right heel down. Press into your feet to rise up, warrior one. Feel this same pose on the other side. Let your right hip draw forward, left hip plugging back. One more breath here. Inhale, get long. And exhale, shift the hips back. Sweep your arms back to airplane arms. Once again, the right toes might rotate right toward the top of your mat so that the heel is slightly lifted in this pyramid variation. Keep the chest lifted. Keep those arms active, shoulder blades hugging. Good. Next inhale, come back through your warrior one. Reach up, just one breath here. And exhale, the hands come down. Stepping it back, making your way to your downward facing dog. Let's lift the heels, knees bend, look to the top of the mat. Make your way there. Lift half inhale, fold exhale. Let's rise up into chair pose this time. Let the hips sink low, arms rise, or maybe hands are at heart, your choice. Lift the toes, shift the weight back toward your heels, peek down, see if you can see your toenails. Take a breath here. Exhale, take that open arm twist with our hips low in chair. And back through the center. Back through center, then lift up high, stand up straight, and bow forward, exhaling. Half lift on your inhale. Forward fold, chaturanga, or downward facing dog. We're skipping chaturanga, keeping your back bend. I need to offer that more often because I really, really enjoy that. Getting that chest opener, even when your arms might be fatigued from those push-ups. We'll take the right leg up, three-legged dog. Just one breath here. Exhale, take your knee across to your left tricep. Inhale, lift up high. Exhale, knee to left tricep. Cross it over. One more time. Come across, hold it here, or stick that leg out onto the floor beside you. Lift your left arm up for fallen star. Come back around if you took that. Come back through three-legged dog, everybody. And bring that foot, step it through, low lunge. Let's inhale the right arm high, just one breath here this time. And close that hand down. Dial your left heel down, rise up, warrior one. On your exhale, sweep the arms back, straighten through the front leg. Inhale, come back through your warrior one. And exhale, let's open to warrior two. Adjust your feet, adjust your waistband if you need to. Some yoga pants just don't like to stay put. They like to move around. And let your shoulders relax here. Check that your knee is stacked over your ankle, the right leg. Left toes are angled in a little bit, not quite as much as warrior one most likely. Just feel your way in. See if your pelvis, if your hips feel even, and if they feel relatively comfortable here. Let's turn both palms up. Let your shoulders relax down. Inhale, reach up, straighten your right leg. Reach both arms up. Exhale, rebend. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lunge. Last one. And from here, looking down at these right toes, left foot might step in a little bit. If you've got a block here, use it. Lift up into your half moon. Left leg lifts. Left hand can be on your hip. We're stacking our shoulders as much as we can. Left on top of right, left hip on top of right here. And then the next level is lifting that arm if you want. Not necessary. Notice if that's adding anything or taking some energy that you need elsewhere for stability. And let your left hand start to come down to the mat. Lift that left leg up here. Breathe in. Exhale, bend your right knee. Bend your left knee. Take a little curtsy squat here. Inhale, lift up high. Exhale, bend both knees. Take that Kundalini squat, as it's also called. One more. And then we'll hold here. Both knees bent. Okay? Let your hands get light. See if you can bring those hands to heart center. Lift your chest here, standing all the way up. Coming into a one-legged Tadasana, mountain pose. Breathe here. And release. Samasthiti. Take a couple breaths here. Your hands can be by your sides. Your hands might still be at heart center. Close your eyes down. Get your breath, get your bearings here. Circle back to your intention. You feel like you are balanced here in your practice, or is something lacking? Is something too much? Take another breath here. Sigh it out. Open your eyes up. Sweep your arms up high. Let your hips get low, chair pose. Take another breath in. Exhale, find those twists. Right arm down and back, lifting through center. Standing up tall after you've taken both sides. Bowing on your exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. Chaturanga or down dog on your exhale. Or holding plank. You guys know your options. I still like to say them ad nauseum. You never know when we need that permission. Just hearing it. So lifting your left leg high. Exhale, take that knee across, right tricep, right elbow. Inhale, lift, three-legged. 3 of these. Inhale, on the lift. This third one, you know what's coming. We're either holding here, which is no picnic, or straightening that leg out, lifting the right arm high, fallen star. Coming back, 3-legged dog. Footsteps through, low lunge. Get that left foot where it needs to be, and then we'll lift the left arm high, inhaling, and close it down. Dial the right heel down. Let's rise up. Big breath in. And yes, exhale. I just had a moment. Sweep the arms back, coming into this high pyramid variation. Back into warrior one as we breathe in. Exhale, open out warrior two. Take your time here. Get into the pose. Check your feet, check that front knee. And then turn the palms up. Let the shoulders get really nice and relaxed. Lift everything, straighten through the front leg. Breath in, exhale, plie. This feels very ballet-like every time I bring this into a flow. Bending back into that left knee, last one. Good, and now we're shifting the weight toward this left foot. My right foot needs to come in because I'm pretty wide in that stance. So coming into our half moon. Right hand can ground on the hip as you're opening up here. Right hip opening, right shoulder opening. Deep breaths. And then let's bring the right hand down. Floor or blocks are good. Breathe in. Exhale. Bend both knees. Right kind of tucks behind the left. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squat. Last one. And we pause here. Pull those belly muscles in. We've been working them. Bring the hands to heart center, stand up tall. Stand up straight once you get upright with your torso. Right knee lifts and release. Almost UT. Had to check my time. Let's breathe here. And then let's sweep the arms up high. Take the feet hip width distance and bow forward. We'll pause in this forward fold. Lengthening those hamstrings, softening through the low back. Our lunges get into those areas a bit, so feel the release here. You can take ragdoll, you can take a bind, wrapping your peace fingers around your big toes, lifting halfway, folding in a little deeper. Good, release your bind. And then let's bring the feet a little closer together. Take another halfway lift here. Forward fold, exhale. Let's let the right foot stay where it is. Step the left foot back to a lunge. Dial that left heel down to the mat, rise up to your warrior two. Let's inhale, take a reverse warrior. And exhale, find side angle. So you might stop at the knee. You might bind. There might even be a bird of paradise out there for all I know. If somebody wants that, you have some time. Knowing if that's where your energy is at, that's where you want to make that expenditure. Let's start to make our way back. Breathing in as we come up. Reverse, straighten that right leg. And let's take this into triangle, Trikonasana. That back foot might bump in slightly. Reach forward, reach this hip back, get really nice and long. When there's nowhere else to go, hands come to 6 and midnight. So once again, our shoulders want to stack on top of one another. If you're trying to get way down to the floor, in the shoulder, left shoulder's closing down, open that baby up. Breathe. Shift the gaze, shift the gaze down toward your toes. Soften into your right knee. You might have guessed it, we're gonna come back for our half moon, second round. See how it goes. If you're really super stable here, you want to go for sugar cane, bending the left leg, binding hand to foot. Or maybe your challenge is, oh, I just knocked my block over conveniently, floating that bottom hand, not having it on anything. Maybe you're playing with your gaze point, your drishti. Good, and then we'll close this down. Hands come down. Let's take one little kundalini squat here, knees bend. Let's take a lengthen just to counter that. And then bend into both knees. Bring your left shin all the way down to the mat. Right ankle is crossed over this left thigh. Bring your buns down. If you're having a hard time getting that right sitting bone down, you can lengthen out this left leg straight, okay? And then from here, we'll lift up through the left arm. You can find a twist over to your right on your exhale. You can even wrap around this leg. I get more in my outer hip when I do that versus the hook. So see what you need, see what feels right for you. And let's take a quick little counter over to the left, both hands over to the left edge of your mat. Actually feels really good, better than I expected. And then let's plant the hands in front. This is another one of those, let's just see how this goes. We're hitting the reverse button, the rewind button. All the weight in that right leg, lift the left leg high. Unwind out of it and close down to your forward fold. Yes, yes. Shake your head, pedal your knees. Anything you need right here. Let's come upright, sweeping the arms up high. And exhale, bow back forward. Take a halfway lift here. Fold, exhale. Left foot stays this time, step your right foot back. A little lunge. Dial that right heel down. Fan open into your warrior two. Reverse this warrior, reach up and back. Exhale, side angle. Elbow into the thigh. Taking your bind. If you did a bird of paradise, try to do one on the other side. Last breath. Good, then we'll come out of this. And as you reverse, straighten your left leg. Exhale, arms come to a T. Stance might shorten. Right hip pulls back. Left fingers reach, reach, reach. And then tick-tock those arms. Triangle pose. Feel your glutes wrapping in to keep your hips pressing forward. Shoulders stacking. Breath strong. One more. And then the gaze shifts down. Last time coming into our half moon. Reaching the left fingertips toward block floor. Lifting up. Option to bend that right knee, catching a bind. And then we'll close it down carefully with control. Exhale, find that squat. Inhale, lengthen up. And exhale, bring your right shin all the way down to the mat. Left ankle's crossing over, make some space for your sit bones. And we'll reach up here, right arm. Exhale, find that twist to your left. Trying to maintain that length in the spine, sitting up tall, so we're not relying too much on that supporting left hand behind us. And we'll counter over to the right when you're ready. Good, and then one more time here. Come forward with your hands. Weight in the left foot, lift your right leg up high. And this time, let's step back. Plank pose. Lower all the way down to the belly. Rest here. Hands can be by your sides. Hips can shake, releasing the low back. Switch ears. Let's bind the hands at the low back if that's available to you. If not, you can just keep your hands by your sides. Feet a little closer together if they drifted apart. Lift your chest, press your knuckles back. Maybe your legs lift at the same time. Locust pose. Nice full breath here. Good, and then releasing, opposite ear down. Take another round of locust. Maybe take your opposite thumb on top, switching your grip, lifting up with the breath in. Release, opposite ear down. You can keep your hands interlaced and bring your knuckles to your low back, elbows getting heavy. And let's take one more. Lifting up, breathe in. stay here in your locust, focus on that, or if you'd like to bend the knees, reaching for feet or ankles, transitioning into floor bow without coming down. Keep your gaze on your mat, or maybe just past the top edge of your mat, not craning the neck to look at anything in front of you. We'll release back down. Keep the knees bending. You can windshield wipe those feet side to side. And then take your palms, press them right next to your rib cage, and let's press up to a cat pose. Hugging everything in, navel to spine, chin to chest, tucking the pelvis. Just keep the cat spine, keep your breath going. Good, and then release to your neutral spine. From here, we're going to move to half pigeon on your right side. Some people, my husband is one of them, love to get into it from downward dog. So you can go to downward dog and then bring your right shin forward, or you can just do it from tabletop. And if traditional pigeon is not for your knees, come onto your back. You can also, speaking of lesser given alternatives, you can also take deer pose, bending in your back knee. That'll take a lot of the pressure off of that front knee. So, and then you can still, take it forward, all that good stuff. So find your version. Know that your version is no more, no less than anybody else's version. Coming forward, if and when you're ready. Take another deep breath. And as we release, let's come on up and ease onto the right side. And let's turn to face the long edge of the mat and set up a wide forward fold here. Making sure, once again, that you're only going to that point where you start to feel that little tug of sensation, resistance. No more, no less. And we could set up a little prop situation to fold onto if you would like. We'll come forward. If your knees are really locked out, just try to unlock them. A little bit of softness here. In our practice of Bramacharya, both on this little rectangle, this yoga mat, and off of it, and using our energy for the right things, picking our battles, you can start to see how some of the other yamas layer in. It requires a level of truthfulness, honesty with ourselves about what we really need and don't need, satya, and always protecting, nurturing ourselves, taking care of ourselves, non-harming, or ahimsa. So it's all connected. No one of these things stand alone. Even though we study them separately sometimes, they all support one another. In all of these practices. Coming on up with your torso. Knowing, of course, it is a practice, and sometimes we have an easier time with it than others. We're going to transition over to the left side of our pigeon, and however it would be easiest for you to get there, let yourself go there. If it's just turning or coming back through dog, through table. Coming back onto your back. Find your way in. Final breaths where you are. And start to rise up. Only as you're ready, you can ease onto your left hip and swing your legs around in front of you. Take any little movements in your legs, windshield wipe, shake them out. And then we'll take it down to the mat. It is that time for our most important Shavasana. I'm taking my blanket behind my spine, but you take what calls out to you. And of course, anything along the way that you might need that I did not call out today, you've got the time, then honor what you're feeling. It's a wonderful word that arises when I think about Bramacharya is enough. That feeling of having given enough, just enough, not too much, not too little. Knowing that our practice tonight was enough, and knowing that you are enough. That beautiful balance. Rest right in that knowing, right in that balance. If you have more time to remain in your Shavasana, please feel free to take it. And you are ready to move into the next part of your Wednesday night. Start by taking a couple of nice deep breaths. Moving slowly. Moving with kindness to yourself. And taking all the time that you need to make your way to a seated position. And once you get there, just take a moment to acknowledge that you got here tonight. You made this time for yourself. It's such a key to our balance, to our moderation in all of the things that are demanded of us as women is our self-care. So acknowledge that right here. Give yourself that gratitude. And we'll pull the hands into heart center, symbol of our gratitude, this mudra. And as we bow in gratitude to ourselves, we bow in gratitude to one another. Thank you so much for sharing this practice. Namaste. Thank you, ladies, so very much.